Wanted to write and publish your own book to hold it in your own hand? I'm Mila Johansson from Pen to Published, and I coach writing and publishing. In fact, I helped Steve, Irma, and Olivia put together their book, Heart Notes, as an example of what I do. And I'm so excited to be an official sponsor for the Sing Your Heart Song Summit in July. Right now, you're going to experience a speaker spotlight series. There are so many valuable speakers for you to get to know before they do their presentation. Don't just watch, join the conversation in chat.
Welcome to the Sing Your Heart Song Summit Speaker Spotlight, today featuring Martha Alexander. Martha Alexander is a recovering attorney and certified fearless living coach. Her parents divorced when she was 7 years old. As a result of the divorce and how her parents handled their emotions, Martha developed certain survival mindsets from an early age. Her driving passion today is to break the silence about the real long-term impact of bad divorces on kids. Currently, she develops the tools and skills to help now adult children of divorce see where those childhood survival skills are holding them back and teaching them how to develop new mindsets and release the old so that they have the freedom to choose their own path, irrespective of their childhood. For more information, please visit www.courageouslyyoucoaching.com. Mark your calendars. Martha will be presenting on day 1 of the summit under the theme of Finding Your Heart Song and the Heart of Money. Martha shares this quote from Maya Angelou: "People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." Ta-da! Welcome back to another Heart Song Speaker Spotlight. Hello, Steph. How are you today?
I am doing well, Olivia. How are you?
Excellent. I'm so glad you're here today with me, co-hosting this. Yay!
Yay!
Awesome. It's always better with co-hosts, right?
Absolutely. Last week was a bit of a whirlwind and challenge, and anyway, lots of stuff going on. So I miss being with you, and I'm glad I'm able to be back.
Excellent. We're down to the wire. I mean, the summit is maybe a little more than a week away. We've got a spotlight today, another spotlight on Friday, and this will wrap up our Speaker Spotlight series.
Ooh, yeah. It's been awesome getting to know each of our presenters a little bit more. And
it really has. Yes. Oh, Rajesh. Well, hello, Rajesh. Thank you so much for joining our conversation today. Welcome to you. Yes, they will never forget how you made them feel. I really love that quote that Martha has chosen for her intro clip, because I think that's what we're aiming for the summit. We're aiming for people to have an experience. Like, this is not a summit where you just go and get downloaded with information.
No, I think it's really about, how do we get to a place where we're feeling really good, where our hearts are charged, so that we can radiate that out to others, and collectively we have this incredible energy that comes when we connect our hearts.
Exactly.
It's a beautiful experience.
Exactly. So there's going to be tons of activities during the summit. Not just, formal presentations from our speakers, but we're going to have like writing prompts. We're going to be journaling. We're going to use our body and move with intensity. We're going to do laughter yoga. We're going to do laughter Zumba. That's to come. So like there's lots of activities that are going to be included in your summit experience because we want you to live from the inside out.
Wow. I don't think I've heard of the laughter Zumba before.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Surprise. I just put it on the agenda.
Olivia is always full of surprises.
Yeah. So not just laughter yoga, but I've got a good colleague of mine. Big shout out to you, May Klein. She's going to be coming on and doing a segment of laughter Zumba. She calls it laughter Z. Like
laughter Z. She must be Canadian.
No.
No?
Nope. She's in Virginia. She's from Japan. So not Canadian at all.
Huh.
So May, just letting you know that you're confirmed for the agenda. Okay.
Ooh. That's
Awesome.
exciting. Our bodies are really going to be in motion.
It really is going to be a very cool experience where, we're going to get you up and moving, right? It's all about mind, body, spirit, and heart songs.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So thank you, Rajesh. Stick around, Rajesh. We've got an awesome speaker that we're going to be interviewing today, Ms. Martha Alexander. So stick around. You want to definitely hear from her. And then please register for the summit, right? So if you haven't received your registration, go ahead and do that today. The link is below, www.singyourheartsongsummit.com. So without further ado, let's bring on our speaker today. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Welcome, Martha. Hey, Martha.
Hi. I'm so excited to be here. I wasn't sure I'd make it.
It always works out in the end.
Right?
And if it hasn't worked out, it's not the end.
Yeah, right? Tech. I love it. Hi, you guys.
I'm so happy to have you here, Martha. Welcome.
I'm so happy to see both of you again. It's been a minute.
Well, you've been on vacation.
I was on vacation. Kinda. I was with, so the picture that you saw with my Angelou quote is 6 women that we're just soul sisters, right? We connected during a program, and so I was with them for a week.
How fun.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Left my husband and my kids at home, much to their dismay. And the picture of me and the bear, which I love bears, but the picture of me and the bear was we were out for a sari society night. So we all dressed in saris and went out to dinner. It was so much fun. So much fun.
I was going to say, I love that sari outfit on you. And that was a beautiful blue color too. And
it's actually my sari, but my friend gave that to me. My friend Sophia Nawab gave that sari to me, and she has the Sari Society. And there's nothing, if you've never dressed in a sari, sorry, Steph, if you've never dressed in a sari.
Now, how do you know I haven't dressed in a sari?
I take it back, Steph. If you've never dressed in a sari, try it. It really is a magical experience. We had so much fun. So I wanted to include that picture.
I've dressed in a sari for Diwali, right? Because I have friends who celebrate Diwali and I've been invited to the celebrations. And it is an intricate piece of fabric.
It is 6 yards that are wrapped in, but there are hundreds of ways to do it. So
I know you gotta get the folds and the pleats just right. I mean, you need other hands. I just stood there and they were just wrapped around me.
Yeah. So Sophia had to help me a little bit more than some of the others because I'm like, what? No. And I'm a quilter, so that just one would assume I could handle 6 yards of fabric.
Just want to give a shout out to Rajesh. Great people interact with individuals through their heart, so positive impact is created. You know what? That's our summit.
Absolutely true.
That is our summit. So thank you so much for picking that up. And we are delighted to bring speakers like Martha to our audience. And Steph, how did you and Martha meet?
Oh, goodness. How did we meet, Martha? We met through our initial meeting was through Speakers Playhouse, correct?
Yeah.
And Martha privileged me by attending one of my classes that I led, the Bridge to Brilliance class, and which
Privileged you. Oh my gosh. Thank you for that. But it was an amazing class. I took pages and pages and pages of notes.
well, thank you. It is always wonderful to hear that what I'm putting out there, people are finding value. So it does my heart good.
It was an amazing class.
Thank you.
You're one of my favorite teachers.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. You know, and I've had the opportunity to teach many, many, many classes, and and it truly is a privilege to have people in attendance who really engage and aren't just like passive participants where they're like, okay, I'll sit back. One of the things that Olivia mentioned earlier was, this isn't just a place for people to come sit and download the information. It's a place to people engage and, bring your heart, share your heart, heal your heart, heal other people's hearts. That it's, it really has, it is an active process, not just a passive one.
Yes. Yes. It was an interactive class and we had a lot of fun. And I can't wait for Sing Your Heart Song because that's going to be completely interactive too, right?
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
love interacting.
And I love that we can support each other in our endeavors, right? So, Martha, you took Steph's class, and now you're coming here and participating in our summit and contributing this way. So, like, we support one another's businesses, one another's efforts. And I think that's awesome. When we look for speakers, we don't have to look far and wide. We can look to our own community, people that we have done workshops with, people who've been students or teachers of ours, etc. Rajesh, you're just on a roll this morning. Your program title reminds me of a song from ABBA, the pop band, I Have a Dream, a Song to Sing. Look at that. Look at this.
And I will admit, I love ABBA. Love them.
That's going to go into the summit playlist.
There we go. That's what I was just thinking.
We're going to include that song in the summit playlist.
Nice job, Rajesh.
So let's talk about your background. I mean, your parents divorced when you were young. Then you became a divorce attorney. Now you're coaching adult children of divorce.
Yeah. Full circle, man. Full circle. Yeah, my mom, I came home one day, Olivia and Steph, from playing, back 1968, we were allowed to actually play. We left the house and we came back when the lightning bugs came out. I know, lightning bugs are the Midwest, right?
I was like, there are no lightning bugs in California, so there's part of the story that I don't know. But
yeah, no, I'm from Iowa. So I came back when the lightning bugs came out. That was my sign. You see a lightning bug, you come home. That was kind of, they were the messengers. So I came home and it was left to my dad and his mom, my grandmother, to tell me that my mom and two of my three older brothers had moved out of the house and weren't coming back. And so 1968, that summer of 1968, that was the last time, I was 7 years old, that I ever lived with all three of my older brothers at the same time.
Wow.
That was the last time. So I have been the youngest of four and the only girl. My favorite world, just so you know. That's the best place to be. So really tough, really, learn to fight at an early age, learn to, handle myself at an early age. Then I was the oldest of two. My dad remarried and I had a younger brother. So I was the oldest of two. Then I was an only child when I went to live with my mom and everyone else was in college. So I've played pretty much every role.
Wow.
Maybe middle child for a bit while my older brother lived with my dad, my second mom, my fourth brother, my youngest brother, and me. So middle child for a very short duration.
Wow, that's quite a dynamic. And I know that your work involves kind of just the adult impact of what happened as children with regards to divorce. I imagine it's kind of that shell game of of relationships, of siblings and of families and so forth. That must have had an impact.
Yeah, I actually became a really, really expert at being a people pleaser, which is not something anyone should aspire to, frankly. It's not a good gig at all. But that's exactly, the shell game is a really good analogy, because I switched myself up depending upon who I was with. My parents didn't like each other, or they either really still loved each other or they really didn't like each other. I can't really tell which sometimes. And so they told me how horrible the other was. So I would, because they didn't love the other, I would leave off all the parts of me that were like my dad when I went to visit my mom. And when I came back from my dad, other than the blonde hair and blue eyes, I got rid of everything, all character traits, or tried to, that were my mom. So I would morph into whoever I needed to be, depending upon who I was with.
Wow.
And then learn to do that in relationships, right? In raising my kids. And there's a lot of ways that people pleasing impacts everyday life that you don't even know.
What impact did that have on your heart song?
So I don't think I found my heart song until I realized the survival skills from my parents' divorce, then those mindsets, those thoughts, all of those things, right? All of the scars were truly impacting my life. And that took me 57 years, right? Thereabout. I always do the math wrong. My parents divorced when I was 7. I was like 58 when I did it. So what is that? 50 years, 51 years, something like that.
Yes.
Maybe 5 decades. Let's put it that way. At least 5 decades to figure out that my heart song was, wow, there is a long-term impact of divorce on kids. I'd always known, and one of the reasons I went into family law as an area, was to try and help parents understand what a kid feels when they talk about the other parent, or when things are too out in the open, or they're upset and crying all the time and they're relying on their kids, what that does to the kid in the moment, right at that time. Because most kids of divorce, I truly believe when I was 18 and I no longer cared if my parents got back together or not, because I was leaving the nest and I didn't care anymore, right? That they were divorced, that was fine. I was used to it, didn't like Christmases. I mean, there are some things that we all still have idiosyncrasies on, at least in my family. And I realized only when I was 58, right, starting to really do the work of during my life coaching program, that that I'd still had long-term impacts, and it took me a long time to crack those open enough that I could look at them and go, "Huh, that's interesting." It explains so much, right? It explains. So for me, waiting for the other shoe to fall was a huge, huge, huge part of my life. I was always waiting, right, for what was next, for that other shoe to fall. That Chicken Little kind of, okay, I know the sky is going to fall soon. I know it is, because it does, right? Because it had when I was 7. My sky totally fell out. The everything crumbled beneath me. So I didn't realize when I was in my 40s, and I had, I'm married to my best friend still. God bless the man for putting up with all of it. He really is phenomenal. Hey, Greg. He married to my best friend. and next year it's 30 years, had 3 amazing kids, really amazing kids. And we had a house that I liked. We were in a neighborhood I liked. We had friends. I had, I had the life that I thought I had when I was a kid. And all of a sudden I got really depressed. And it wasn't until a couple of years ago that I realized that during that time, when every day I was contemplating suicide, literally every day I had to talk myself out of suicide. Now, it wasn't hard because I had 3 kids who had already lost their birth mother. And I couldn't do that again to them, right?
Mm.
But if I hadn't had them, and it's not, I know my husband's like, what about me? I just knew he'd get over it. I wasn't sure the kids would, right? And I don't know. I mean, he would have carried on. I'm not sure the kids would have had as easy a time. Not that it would have been easy for him. I don't want the comments from him. So it was, and as I look back on that period of time of about 10 years where I really, really did struggle with suicide on a daily basis,
Mm.
And it was all because I couldn't take another loss of that magnitude, right? The correlation too, I had a family, I had everything that I wanted. I had, everything was going really well. And that's how I felt when I was 7 before I came home that day. And it was a huge relief to know that it was my waiting for the other shoe to drop and not something else, right?
Isn't that fascinating? And Olivia, pardon me for this, but Olivia witnessed me being triggered by something last week. And it's amazing how seemingly little things can make such a huge difference. I mean, it's like the tectonic plate shift, and you've got the San Andreas fault going, and earthquake, and I mean, it's, you don't expect it, you don't know how to deal with it, but everything just looks different, and suddenly the world is a different place. And how do you respond to that? How do you put yourself back together, especially when you're going through a daily struggle with suicide? And and the way that I described that to a couple of friends yesterday was, it's your reality is totally shifted. Just like those tectonic plates have shifted. You're used to things being this way, but they're not that way anymore, and so you don't know exactly how do I navigate. How even you've got your spouse right there beside you, who I'm sure was supportive and doing all the best that he could. And similarly, when I was in a similar situation, my wife was right there, doing everything she could to help me get into a better place. But because of the depression and the suicidality and all that stuff, I couldn't see it. Like, I was blinded to what was right in front of my face because it was like masked or filtered by the struggle, the internal struggle that I was dealing with.
Yeah, that is, it's hard to see when you're on the inside of that shift, right? And when you have energy shifts or shifts, right, of your very being, it takes time to really, really kind of assimilate all of it back into you, right? And to absorb all of that. It took me about 2 years of those major mind shifts from my parents' divorce that I didn't even know were there, frankly. That now I can say, oh yeah, that makes total sense now. But it didn't at the time. And it is really hard to get out of that place, Steph. I struggled, and Greg was right there going, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And I'm like, nothing. I don't know. Right.
Well,
So
it's that depression. like totally stifles your ability to see what is there. And so when you're asked questions like that, you really literally don't know, because you don't have access to that insight that you need so badly.
Right. And that sometimes you don't get for a decade. For me, it was a whole decade before I went, oh, yeah, now that kind of makes sense. I get it.
I love
Sure.
that we're having this totally open, honest conversation, right? Because these are, patterns, triggers, and the fact that we can be aware of it and discuss it.
Oh, yeah. And that it really is part of my heart song. Your original question was, one of you, I can't remember which one of you asked me. It was you, Steph? Okay. How did I find my heart song, or when did I know about my heart song? Well, it wasn't until 2 years ago, right? When I was 58, 59, even 60, right? And could have been after your class, Steph, right? The bridge to brilliance, that everything keeps kind of coming more and more in focus, as to what am I here? What am I on the earth? What message am I here to spread, right? I have a voice. I love using it. So what is the best use of that? And for me, the long-term impact of divorce on kids, for if someone is an adult child of divorce and they're like me, thinking, you know what, I don't care that my parents are divorced. Sometimes it's interesting. Sometimes it's difficult, holidays, whatever, but I'm over it. When I talk, sometimes they go, oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. And just knowing that there are common patterns from that event, right? Common mindsets, common patterns in our life, and they can be overcome. They can be switched with something more empowering. You can choose a different mindset. You can choose something else, and live far away from your parents' choice.
Yes.
Just want to give a shout out to Dr. DJ, who is joining us as well on the speaker spotlight. Dr. DJ, you're so awesome. Yes, so Steph. Dr. DJ says this, Steph, I so appreciate your transparency, because we all have similar struggles that we do not share publicly. And sometimes our mind does take us to places we try to avoid, but it is challenging.
Yes. It's interesting. Friday morning, after I'd gone through my own kind of, fortunately, just like you, Martha, my struggle with depression lasted years, and it was a daily struggle. And now it can be a daily struggle, but the number of days is much, much, much fewer. But so Friday morning, while I'm still in the thick of it, and I'm at a hotel about, I don't know, about 45 miles away from here, and I'm sitting by the pool, looking up at the sky, and the sky is pretty bright blue, and the clouds and everything, and I'm just thinking about just how the clouds just kind of pass by, and there was this like thunder hammer type of cloud going on. I don't know how it was created, I imagine, but it was just really kind of interesting to see what was there. And then I walked away, went, did something, came back, sat in the same place, looked up in the sky, and it was totally different. I mean, it was the same sky, but it looked totally different because the clouds all moved along, and so those things that we're dealing with, the difficult emotions and so forth, we can get totally locked into, well, this is the way it looked, this hammer-like looking cloud structure, that's just the way it always is. But if we actually allow ourselves to be present to what is there right now, we notice that things shift, that the difficult, dark emotions that we face aren't constant. They're not like always there. Even when I was in the deepest, darkest hole of my life, there were still moments when it wasn't so deep and dark. There were still moments of, joy and laughter and so forth. And it's really being able to be present to what's going on right now.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Steph. Totally agree with that, and I'm so glad that there are light places in darkness as well, because that's what really gets us through that, right? Are the moments that are filled with joy, even if you go back into that depth of depression. One of the things that I really learned recently was finding and I've been trying to do this for years, and I think I just really recently did it well. And that is finding what needs to shift in me when I'm triggered by something, or when something happens to me. So recently I was with a mentor, and someone that I held in really high regard. And I was having side conversations. I don't know if that shocks you or not, Steph and Olivia, but couldn't. Um, and I was after the lunch break of this program, I was pulled aside, and in anger. I mean, like grabbed, yanked, held in anger, and there was anger seething. And this person said, "You're being rude. Stop doing that. And if you don't stop doing that, I'm going to grab a knife and stab you."
Oh my.
In anger. And I was like, So what can you find? Right. And my answer was, I'm not coming back. I don't trust myself to shut up enough not to have an issue. Right. I mean, I did it in court by writing things down and by really, really whatever, but it was a very difficult situation. And I healed some more stuff from my dad. I that I didn't even know it was there, because my dad kept me. He was my favorite person, right? So he never did anything wrong, because I couldn't see him as ever being wrong. He in my head, he kept me, he loved me, he didn't abandon me, so he was therefore perfect. And he wasn't. That's still hard to say, just so you know. But I learned that there was something my dad did that made me have expectations and view support in a certain way. And I really had to let go of some more stuff from my childhood. So everything that really triggers me big time like that, Steph, my favorite thing is to count how many benefits I can see in it.
Yes.
How many learning moments were there? How many good things came out of it? How many shifts in my mindset happened that are for the better? Whatever. And I came up with 11 from that particular incident.
I love that practice. That is so cool to not, because my practice is to look for, how do I shift my perspective on the story, or, what is the positive outcome that comes from whatever I go through. But the fact that you're numbering them, then you can say, well, from this one incident, I had 11 positive outcomes from it. That's
yeah.
cool.
Here are the things that were bad about it, right? Here are the things that I wouldn't choose, but I don't pay attention to those. I pay attention to, what are the gifts? What are the gifts that I can dig for? What's the gold that I can dig for in what is essentially an assault and battery? Right? What can I dig for?
That is.
What can I see?
And the interesting thing about that is, sorry, I'm losing my voice. I just finished reading the book Before Happiness by Sean Achor. And one of the things he talks about in there is the ratio of positivity to negativity. And our minds naturally come up with negative, outcomes, whatever happened. And so, our mind naturally comes up, well, I might have 11 positive outcomes from this, but if we were to let our minds totally ruminate and go on the monkey wheel, hamster wheel, it would generate a whole lot more if we didn't manage that energy. And so in order for us to be to get to that place of happiness, the before happiness to happiness idea, you know, we need to consciously be generating more positive outcomes from it. You know, how can I look at this and see, you know, oh yeah, there are some bad things that came out of this, but let's see if I can come up with even more good things that came out of it. And it's a very conscious effort.
It is a very conscious effort, and it took me, well, let's just say a few days to decide to count the good things. I try not to wallow, but you know, it is counting the good things that happen. So frequently I have my clients, you know, when they are, the mindset is the world is against them, or, you know, the glass is half empty. You know, that my homework assignment is always, and this is a beautiful practice for anybody, to find the 5 things that you truly appreciate about your day. What are the 5 things that you're grateful for, and write them down. What are they, right? So you and what you're really doing is training your mind, right? Because as soon as you do the first few, your mind goes, oh, we have to do this every day. I better find those things so this is easier, right?
Yes.
So your mind starts looking for the positive or the good things to appreciate in your day, right? The things that you can be grateful for. So your mind starts looking for the positive instead of the negative, which completely shifts your whole view of the world. Because all of a sudden, what you see now, because you've trained your mind to see the good, the benefit, the positive, that's what you see. That's what you start to cultivate, is that view.
I find that really fascinating.
Yeah, that is so true, Martha, about priming your brain to start looking for those things, right? So just asking the questions, what are 5 things you can appreciate about your day? That's a write it downer. So if you're watching this, please write that down and put it into practice.
And do it. Don't just write it down. Please, 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 please. Actually do that.
Martha's going to look for you.
End of the heart song. Come to my segment and tell me how that changed, how that shifted for you. Tell me what shifted, because you know, that's what I care about, right?
I find it fascinating, partly because I've been developing a journal. I've been using other people's journals for quite a long time. And this year I ran out. I didn't have another journal for the day. And so I'm like, oh, well, I've been thinking about developing my own for a long time. So I started to create it. And one of the things that I do at the end of the day is looking, what I had been doing was, what are my 3 delights and what are my 3 disappointments? But after reading what I read in the Before Happiness book, I realized, you know, I need to lean to the bright side.
Yeah, forget the disappointment.
And so I have 5 delights that I have for the day, and I have 1 disappointment that I have for the day, just so I can acknowledge it. And one of the things that is true also is that by acknowledging whatever disappointment that I had during the day, is that disappointment is oftentimes the seed for a future delight, because it transforms into something better.
May I offer a suggestion?
Of course.
You have a disappointment. Under the disappointment, write 3 positive things about the disappointment. 3 things the 3 gifts from that disappointment.
So many things to put into practice today. Oh my gosh, Martha.
Yeah, let's mine for the gifts in that disappointment, because I truly believe disappointments or triggers or various other things that happen to us or happen around us are opportunities and have gifts for us.
That's excellent.
And Dr. DJ is saying, and you know, the application of practices is critical. And I think she knows something a little bit about that, because she's a time management professional. So I know a little bit about Dr. DJ teaching us time management tips. And so, you know,
I can't wait for that.
So there's many different strategies, but you have to practice.
Yeah, you have to choose 1 or 2, put it into practice, and then you can add more, 1 bite at a time, 1 bite of the apple at a time.
Absolutely.
Mine for the gifts and the disappointment. So yes, that's a write it downer as well. So I hope you guys are enjoying the speaker spotlight with Martha.
And
I'm
Martha, I will say right now, I'll declare publicly that I will implement that, because I have not. One, I do value acknowledging the challenges that we face in life, and part of that is, as a story architect, is that a story without any problems, without any conflict.
So a yawn is a shift in energy, just so you know. A yawn can signal a shift in energy.
I thought you were saying it's a boring story.
It is a boring story.
Oh, all right.
If you were to go to the
What you were
movies and
saying?
there's, like, we just went and saw Jurassic Park on Independence Day, and if there was like no conflict, no dinosaurs going crazy, no, whatever, and it was just okay, they just kind of hop around.
Yeah, that would be kind of pointless. It was a good movie then.
Yeah, so we're in the midst of the greatest story ever told in our lives, and so how do we look at our challenges as blessings? And I love that process of, because what I had been doing is just kind of letting it stew and not intentionally right then, right there, turning that disappointment into something better. So I love the idea of taking the disappointment and, okay, what are 3 things that I can take from that disappointment that will be golden?
Yeah, absolutely. Who do I want to be? How do I want to show up in this situation?
Martha, I'm curious. What is your relationship with your parents now? Have you forgiven your parents for the divorce?
Oh yeah, yeah, I have. I do. I have in my program we do an art of forgiveness. Absolutely, forgave my parents. They have both passed, so they are both, and yet I hear them all the time. they hang out here all the time. So yes, and they know what I'm doing, and it's all good. Yes, I forgave my parents. My parents did the best they could for, in 1968, divorce didn't happen very much. And in fact, the year before my parents got divorced, one of my mom's friends went to get a divorce, and the judge said, "Suck it up, Buttercup. You have a roof over your head. You have kids. You have food on the table. You're not being beaten. Go home. You made a commitment." And in 1967, in the 1960s, that was a judge could say no to a divorce. It was not a right to get out unless both parties wanted it. So think about that for a minute, right? That was the time of it. Yes, I have forgiven my parents. I love both my parents dearly. I do tend to favor my dad. I'm just saying. It's true. There's just, I haven't been able up until now to get over that. But we did have a special relationship. So.
And maybe there isn't any getting over it to get over.
Oh, maybe not. Maybe not.
That it, I look at both my parents and there are definitely things that I favor about my dad that I don't about my mom, and vice versa. There's
yes.
And they were married most of my life, except for that one little stint of, I don't know, 4 years of divorce. But
we've talked about that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a whole nother conversation that would last another 45 minutes. But we won't go there. But I know it to some extent what it's like.
Well, and I think having kids and making my own mistakes, right, that it makes it so much easier to say, man, this is a hard flipping job, right? My survival mindsets that I'm not even aware of, my kids pick up. So it's one of those things that, they did the best they could.
Yep.
They
Yeah,
were both good people, and I love them both.
that's awesome.
That's a beautiful lesson. I'm wondering also, what is the gift that you've gotten from the parents' divorce?
So, well, it's my heart song, right? What's the gift from my parents' divorce? Man, geez, Olivia, I haven't thought about that. That's a great question. So, all right, I term these the superpowers of the child of divorce. I can walk into a room, and it can be virtual or otherwise, and I can feel the energy, right? I know where I need to be really small to stay out of the way, and I know where I can really show up as me. Um, I when I was a kid, right, traversing two different households, two different sets of rules, two different, completely different feels, right? I had to really learn, coming back into one or the other environment, where the tension was before I got there. Did it have anything to do with me? Did I need to disappear for a while? So it's really kind of a spy superpower. I could have so been a spy, except that the other thing that the other superpower I got is, unless you're my client, I don't keep secrets. I just don't. I don't. I had to keep them as a kid, and I just won't do it. So you're going to hear straight up what I think. And I think that is a gift, being able to not I don't really beat around the bush, because it was done so often that I was a kid. So I think that's a gift. Other gifts. I think, you know what? I don't know how parents are when or how kids are when they've lived together all the time, right? I don't know what we would have been like if my three older brothers and I had stayed. But I can say that through the divorce, we developed some really close bonding relationships, right? We all have the same patterns. We all have the same idiosyncrasies. I can say that a gift is my little brother. I wouldn't have had him if my parents hadn't divorced. Little Oh my goodness. He's now like 55, but whatever. He's still my little brother. Let's see. I got cats because my mom was allergic to cats. So when she moved out, I got to have cats. Spent a lot of time riding my horse. What other things? Oh, there's some good things. There's some good things that came out of it.
Beautiful. Thank you, Martha, for sharing that. Yeah.
Sure. And perhaps my parents were happier. Perhaps. I say perhaps.
Dr. DJ, I'm not sure if she's laughing at cats or laughing at Steph's cat. But
Cats are wonderful to have.
They are. They are.
Beautiful.
He's done now.
He's done. Just needed a little bit. Just needed on air a little bit and then off.
Yes.
He doesn't like being held by you.
That's straight up joy.
Straight up joy. Joy gets it to us straight.
Your voice.
And what gift can you find in that, Steph?
Oh, I love it, actually.
Well, Martha, you've been such a gift this morning. Thank you so much for just opening up your heart song to us and starting the conversation around these difficult topics, right? It's not easy to open up about how we're feeling, the suicide and mental health and divorce and that long-term impact on adult kids. I think that's a super niche that you're focusing your coaching on. So, Dr. DJ, cats love coming across the screen. I know.
Yeah, it's like walking across the keyboard. And
yes. Like they're their own memes, right, Dr. DJ? Yeah, cats and their memes.
It's either cats or little dogs. And if my little dog was awake right now, he'd be itching to get up here to see y'all.
So if you have enjoyed the Speaker Spotlight with Martha, imagine what it'd be like to hear her at the Sing Your Heart Song Summit. So please be sure to register today. And in the meantime, you can go to her website and check out her programs and offerings, courageouslyoucoaching.com. Please also connect with her on LinkedIn. That's where you'll find her. Keep the conversation going. So if you are putting those writer-downers into practice, mining the gifts and disappointment, finding the 5 things you can appreciate about your day, practice it and let her know how you're doing with that.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait to the summit. You can connect now. And that's why I love doing the speaker spotlights, really to make the connections and really foster that relationship even ahead of the event. You can also find her on Facebook. So go ahead, make a friend request. Let her know that you saw her on the live stream. She'll really appreciate that. So don't just connect, but, throw in a little personal message as well, too. So we so appreciate that. Yeah, absolutely. Your honesty, your rawness has really shown through today. And, we're so privileged that you were able to share that, Martha.
Thank you for the opportunity of sharing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're going to close out the segment today. Stick around because we've got some information about the Heart Song Journal and how you can participate in that. And please remember to go and register for the summit. Don't delay.
Do it now.
Do it now.
Take a second right now. It's your opportunity. It's the silver lining. It's the gold.
Thank you, Martha. Yes, the summit is your gold. So if you've been looking for it this summer, come to the Sing Your Heart Song Summit. Excellent. Martha, we'll see you around. Thank you so much for joining us.
Sure. Thank you.
Wow. I love the conversations that come out. And I think another speaker that we did a spotlight for, Chris Dye, she goes, I'm going off on a tangent. I'm like, tangents are okay. We love tangents. There's no formal script that we're following, right?
Not at all. Like what shows up when you listen to your heart?
What shows up? Exactly. Dr. GJ, you're so awesome. Thank you so much for your support, joining Toastmasters, checking us out, supporting our summit. We hope to see you there. And who knows, you might be a future speaker. So thank you, Dr. DJ, so much. But I just really love this opportunity that we've taken the time the entire month to get to know each and every one of our presenters. They've come from different sources. I did not know Martha up until now. And so I'm really grateful that you've introduced us and she's become involved with our event. So it's really, really, really cool.
It is always a pleasure.
Absolutely. All right, gang. So we're going to go and play the outro clip. And please get your orders in for the Heart Song Journal. The deadline is this Friday. Yes, so we get 2 days to put in those orders. Otherwise, you're going to have to wait until after the summit to receive your journals. You can still participate in the workshop. We'll make the tutorials available, but you really want to have it in your hand. So make sure you get those orders in early. So we're going to play that clip for you. We'll see you next time. Did you know that you could upgrade your event ticket to the Sing Your Heart Song Summit and be included in the bonus creative workshop that's led by the creative visionary Chris Dyer? You are invited to create your personalized custom journal for your Sing Your Heart Song Summit experience. These journals are custom laser engraved with your name. They will also have the Sing Your Heart Song Summit website and logo. There are 10 colors that you can choose from, and each journal may be personalized, and Swarovski crystals will be sent to complement your color choice. Plus, you can also request some fun stencils, patterns, and designs to complete your journal kit. Upgrade today for $57, and this too can be your experience. This is the perfect way to record all your notes during the Sing Your Heart Song Summit.